We're off to the races. I love it. I love it. Okay, well, let's minimize this. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We're only connected to 3 out of 4. Oh, there we go. Now we're connected. All right, looks like we should be connected on everything. So we're just gonna wait for at least somebody to show up. Hopefully the bit rate. I think I've got it sorted now. I think it should be pretty smooth this time around. It might jump a little bit. I'm probably gonna show my screen at some point, but yeah, just waiting for some folks to show up. Just talking about star voting today a little bit. I like wave my hands around. Is that gonna get people's attention? Hey, you, come here, come watch this stream. People see it as they're scrolling through Twitter or whatever. And I do have up on YouTube for the first time. I'm gonna get to this stream before I start like advertising it because I want to change like the URL and stuff. But yeah, and I think I don't know if our what's it called, headliner graphic, the cover photo, the whatever it's called. There's a graphic that we were supposed to get up that I don't know if that actually happened. Just waiting on someone to join. Maybe if I join, that will encourage others to join. Now we're getting meta. Oh, it is showing my screen. Haha. Ha 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 ha. Oh, that's a DM. Whoops. Refresh this page. Mute. Oops. Oh no, yeah, mute that. Mute that. Alright, didn't realize I was showing my page, my screen. So we'll switch to this. But we'll do that so we can keep chat. Still saying I have no viewers, which is not right. So now we got the chat going on my screen twice. That's funny. Right, the Twitter. Go to my profile. 0 viewers. Fantastic. Let's switch scenes here. Okay, that appears to be pretty smooth. Any drop frames? We dropped a couple. Okay, now we're dropping more. Okay, gotta get that out of my face. Yeah, just waiting on some viewers to show up. So today we're just gonna talk about star voting a little bit. Any viewers out there? I mean, it's been about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I'm just gonna start talking, and I'll fill in the gaps when people join back in. Cool. Well, I am Sass. I am running for U.S. House of Representatives down in Texas, Tejas, as Ben Solons would say. Today, just want to talk a little bit about star voting. So there is a huge amount of information that goes into this. We're just going to try to boil it down and keep it pretty simple. So right now, when you go to the ballot and you vote, the way you vote right now in most jurisdictions in the U.S. is you just fill in a little bubble next to whichever candidate is your favorite, and you just get that one vote for that one candidate, and that's it. And they just tally up all the votes, and whoever has the most votes wins. This is actually a terrible, terrible, terrible voting method. It's actually the worst that there is, which is so crazy that the simplest one is just the most ridiculously awful. And this can be shown through voting science, which uses voter simulation and mathematical models and multidimensional political spaces to find candidates closest to the center of opinion to maximize voter satisfaction and minimize voter regret. Like all these things, the whole reason I just used all those big words was just to show that voting science is a real thing that exists. And there is so much to learn in that space. And there's a lot of activity in that space too. We're still learning a lot and just creating new voting systems and all this stuff. But the whole idea, the whole point is, or the thing that I'm getting at here is that voting science has shown that our classic voting system, choose one, winner take all, first past the post is what it's also known as plurality voting, is just horrendous. And fortunately, there are dozens of different voting methods out there, or voting systems. When I say voting method, it's more just like the math side of it, kind of the technical aspects. And when I say voting systems, I'm usually more referring to like the implementation of it in the real world. So that's why I often say voting system instead of voting method. Although sometimes people get that confused with like electoral stuff. Anyway, so I was saying earlier today we're going to talk about star voting. So star voting is, I like to describe as the ultimate culmination of modern voting science. It was invented in Oregon in 2014. A STAR is an acronym. It stands for Score, Then Automatic Runoff. So how it works is instead of you just having like the one little bubble that you fill in, you know what? We are going to have the visual on this, so I'm going to bring it up now. Let's do this. Cool. So how does star voting work? So you have your ballot, might look like this. and you got all your candidates, and you score all of the candidates from 0 to 5 stars. And so you can, if you leave it blank, it counts as a 0. It means you have 0 support for that candidate. You're mostly just showing how much support you are giving to that candidate. You can have multiple candidates have the same scores. You can draw bigger differences between candidates. It allows you basically like maximal voter preference. There is a reason that it's 0 to 5 instead of like 0 to 9 or 0 to 99 or whatever. And that just has to do with like cognitive load. I'm not going to get into that right now. You got to really get into the nitty gritty, but like 0 to 5, there's a lot of research to suggest that like that is basically like the perfect range to have. In fact, this could also be called range voting. Score and range are the same thing in voting science and nomenclature. Okay, so you score all of your candidates from 0 to 5 stars, as does everybody else, and then you add up all of those scores. So that's step 1. There's 2 steps. So first you're scoring, and so we see this first here, the scoring. You add up the total scores for all the candidates, and then what you do is you take the 2 candidates who have the highest total scores, and then they go to an automatic runoff. So it's automatic. You don't need to vote again. It just uses information that you've already expressed on your ballot. Then what happens is whichever of those 2 candidates you scored higher, that candidate gets your 1 full vote. And then you just count up whoever got the most of those 1 full votes. And whoever got the most of those 1 full votes wins. This might be, as in the case on screen, it happens to match with the person who got the highest score, but it doesn't always. It doesn't have to. It could have been, in this case we see Carmen and Ben, it could have been Ben, if more people preferred Ben over Carmen. You don't have to necessarily like both of them, you just have to show a preference. So this person showed a preference of Carmen over Ben, doesn't matter by how much. They just showed that if it came down to these 2 voters, if it came down to these 2 candidates, they would have voted for Carmen. And so then Carmen wins. This produces astoundingly accurate results for a whole bunch of wonderful, beautiful mathematical reasons, all the science and simulation that goes through it. It's really incredible once you start to understand it. I'm not going to dig into the details right now. If you would like to get into the details, I can actually I'll post a link to the video, like just in the comments after the live stream finishes, where I had Sarah Wolk, the executive director of the Equal Vote Coalition. I had her do a thing for a political group that I'm with, where she talked about star voting at length. She really got down and dirty into the details. It was really cool. It's kind of long, so it's definitely for the kind of person who really wants to get into the details of it all. But I will post that in the comments under the lives of every video. Here I can. Well, yeah, I'll do that on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Anyway, so this is a really, really great voting system. And there are a ton of positive things about it. It's equally weighted. The voter satisfaction efficiency is off the charts. It's precinct summable, which means you don't need to centralize all the ballots in order to tabulate it. It can be done entirely with addition at the precinct level, which is great for auditability. It's great for transparency. It also provides you with this like matrix of scores, as well as you're also going to have a head-to-head matrix as well. It's not shown on the screen right now. That also can help you determine like Dorsey winners and all these other sorts of cool things. This is a really, really great system, and I advocate for it. There's a bit of a hiccup. Star vote there's a couple things. One, election codes in different states. Election codes are different in every state, and they get incredibly convoluted and complex. I've poured through Texas election code, and it's a mess. And Texas is not alone. There are a lot of states the election code is just all over the place. And so, depending on what the election code looks like, star voting could potentially be a really difficult system to pass. It's not nearly as hard as like ranked choice voting or some other systems out there, but sometimes it can be legally a little bit shaky. There's another issue as well. There are still jurisdictions in the United States that do like pen on paper ballots. And they don't have, they put, they have a town of 500 people and they've got a couple $100 to spend on their election, right? Which is a comically small amount of money, right? And it's like, you go up to them and you say, okay, now we have to educate all your voters on how to use this new system. We have to redesign all of your ballots, right? And we have to train everybody how it works and go over the security of it and all of this. That gets to be that can make it a hard sell for those small jurisdictions that just don't have the funds or the political will to switch. So that is kind of like the downside of Star. Of course, we're still sticking in the single winner space. We could talk about things like multi-winner elections and stuff, but sticking with single winner, those are a bit of the downsides. Those are not major downsides. When it comes to single winner elections, I really do see Star as the end game. But for those jurisdictions where it's like legally difficult or they just don't have the money or whatever it is, and there's also another argument too of like there's a national popular vote interstate compact going around, which is something to address the Electoral College. It's not really compatible with that either. What you could have is or what the other system that I recommend is approval voting. I'm not going to get into approval voting today. We'll save that for next week. But approval voting is comically simple. It's much more compatible with election codes. It doesn't require any change to voting infrastructure. The training's effectively zero. It's just a little bit of voter education, and it's as easy and cheap and quick as voter education comes. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But star voting is really a phenomenal voting system. A little bit embarrassing. We've had 0 viewers this entire time. I'm not going to drag this out any longer. But if you come back and you watch it later, like I said, I will put a link to the thing I did with Sarah Wolk in the comments under Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Okay, and other than that, enjoy your day. We're gonna